Today, I have Coach Cheryl Thacker of SuccessfulCoaches.com. She's a master board certified coach, and she coaches the coaches, and she helps them to create a sustainable and successful business. Not only that, she is also a podcast host of Master Your Coaching Biz podcast, mom of three, recovering corporate employee, and hails out of the great state of North Carolina. Welcome, Coach Cheryl Thacker.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
So how are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
What's the weather like? What's the weather like in North Carolina?
Hot. We're on a heat advisory, so they're telling you not to go outside.
That's dangerously hot. Are you near a body of water where you are?
There's a lake about 20 minutes away.
You ever visit?
I've been there a couple times. I prefer the beach though, I don't normally get there during the week unless I'm on vacation, but I definitely go on the weekends.
How far are you from the beach?
There's a beach about an hour and 40 minutes away.
I never think about North Carolina being on the coastline for some reason. We just got back. I'm in Tennessee. We go straight south every time. Everybody does. When you get down to the panhandle of Florida, it is Tennessee South. Unfortunately, we take it over. And you probably can't tell, but I actually have, this is the only time of year I have a little glow to my skin. We just got back. But yeah, I agree with you. We have a lake here, and I prefer the beach all day long.
Yeah.
So enough about the beach. If you don't mind, kind of tell us a little bit about yourselves. Give us the Cliff Notes version of kind of where you started and how you got to where you are now.
Yeah. So I come from a corporate background. I was in corporate for 25 plus years, and I was working, just a massive amount of hours. Somewhere between 60 and 70 hours a week. And I was raising 3 young kids by myself. And I was starting to get sick. My health was tanking and my mental health was definitely tanking. I wasn't able to spend time with my kids. I didn't do anything but work and go home and, get the kids ready for bed and school and then start it all over again. And wasn't a way to really live.
Right.
And so a change had to be made. And so I decided to become an entrepreneur. I'd always done things on the side, to make extra money. And so I started out with websites. I started making websites because I did that for my company, one of the companies I worked for.
Sure.
And then when I decided that I was going to go full time, I just did some research and I figured out that really, because I come from like financial consulting, HR kind of background, that coaching was probably going to be the better way to go. And so I went and got certified in coaching. And I started out with addiction recovery because I was doing the website and some other things with an addiction recovery nonprofit, which is called Recovery Nation. And actually, I'm the director there as well.
Wow.
Now. So I went into coaching, started there, and then I actually started teaching at a coaching school and realized how many people were coming back after years of being certified and don't have a business. And I just started asking questions to find out why that was happening. Like, why is it, 5 years, 4 years, even 3 years later, and you don't have a business yet, and it was because although the schools teach you the coaching skills that you need, they don't teach you about business. Or if they do, it's a very small piece of the program because the program is about coaching skills. It's not really about building a business. And so I felt like I really wanted to help these coaches. And so I changed over to business coaching and basically I came up with pieces of a program and started working with people and really tweaked it. And I was able to help coaches to start their businesses and build their businesses, get clients. And that brought me to today where I actually have a couple different programs that I take people through and get coaches to get confidence, be able to, package and price their services, be able to start getting visible, marketing plans, just things that they don't think about when you're in school, really, to learn coaching skills.
So take me back a step. I'm connected to God only knows how many coaches, and being a coach is one of those things where there's not a degree requirement. You can't just call yourself a CPA unless you have a degree in accounting.
Yeah.
What for coaching? Obviously I get what the purpose is, but where would somebody go to do that, and which one would you get?
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're looking at just learning
Right.
how to coach, right? Like anybody can call themselves a coach. It's not a regulated industry, but we have the International Coaching Federation that if you follow them, they set standards for us as far as competencies and ethics. And you could go to the International Coaching Federation's website and find different schools. I'm actually associated with World Coach
Ooh,
Institute,
you're partial.
and I'm the training director there. So I actually now help students learn how to coach and then help them with their businesses. And the reason why to get certified is because we have these competencies and these ethics to follow. There's so many coaches or people that call themselves coaches out there that, you'll hear somebody say, oh, I had a coach, I had 3 coaches and they did this and they did that. And like, the ethics were kind of shady and, or they weren't able to get results that they wanted and, things along those lines. And it's because they don't have anything to follow, right? They're just out there doing whatever they want. And when you come into a school and you get certified, that a certified coach is going to have a certain number of competencies. They're going to follow ethics. There's accountability because there's an association that you can report them to. So the ethics are pretty high. We're not going to take the chance of being unethical with our certifications or our credentials. And it just makes for good business. Like any other industry, like you said, a CPA has to be certified with a CPA, right? So to be able, and even like social media managers, right? When you go to look as a business owner for a social media manager, I'm looking for somebody that went through a school that, got certification, right. Not somebody that just popped up one day and said, oh, I'm going to be a social media manager. So if I'm looking for a coach, I want a coach that's certified, that's gone through training, that has experience in the area that I need. And that's what I think.
Cheryl, what does your business model look like then? You're coaching the coaches, which is fan-friggin-tastic. I've been doing business, and I've been doing business coaching myself. I have a little certification back over here on the wall if anybody wants to see it. But I've been doing that for 15 years at a small business development center, and I can tell you there's a lot of people that work in this field that are great one-on-one, but they can't always practice what they preach, which is not unusual, and it's not a slight against coaches. That's everybody. I know some financial advisors that have that are great at what they do, but their budget isn't always the best either. So talk to us about your model of coaching a coach, what that looks like kind of from beginning to end.
Yeah, so I started out one-on-one, which is typically how coaches start, and I feel like you have to start one-on-one because that's really where you learn who your ideal client is. You tweak that, right? You figure out who you really want to work with. And then through that one-on-one coaching, you get to help them overcome specific obstacles to that niche, to that ideal client. And so I did that for the first 5 years, just one-on-one. And then I started to do some group programs, which were like 12-week programs. And I ran them a couple times a year. And that was great because I was able to help more people through a process. And I just created a 12-week process, and then it was a 16-week process, and I tweaked that, right? I just played with it a little bit. And now I do mostly group, and that's how I reach the most people because I can take them through a specific process. And really, the individual details are different, but not the process itself. So I'm able to do that with my Coaching Business Accelerator group, and that's my main group. So that's my model is the group coaching, but then I have my one-on-one, which is higher end. And I can help people there as well, but it's a higher end product. And so not everybody fits into that. And that's the thing with new coaches, right? There sometimes isn't a whole lot of, financial resources for them because they've already put, especially those that are credentialed or certified, they've already put out the money for the school and for their credentials. And so now they need to get their business started. So the group program works for that. It gives them very solid information, and it's at a price point that is affordable for them. And then as they grow, if they want to do the one-on-one scale,
I assume that does work well for you. That gives you an opportunity to scale your business up to however many folks you have in here, whether, what is it, like 5, 10, 8, 12, more? Yeah,
I don't do 8 is the average. I won't do more than 10. It depends on how how savvy the group is. If I go to 10,
so
but
within
8
coaching
is
the coaches, which is
average.
already a tight niche, do you have a niche below that in terms of what you're looking for in coaching? Is it more, the first year or two coaching, or is it, what are you looking for?
Yeah, so typically it's coaches in the first 3 years, but it really depends on their experience. So if they're just getting started as a coach, that's definitely the number one spot that I'm looking for and where I can help the most. But even those, like I said, that have been certified for a couple of years, but they haven't done anything with their business really. Like maybe they've had 1 or 2
Right.
clients here or there, so there's no consistency. That's really where my sweet spot is the new coach, and then the ones that aren't really consistent. So typically,
So how do you separate yourself when they get out? They realize very quickly that I know how to coach, but I might not know how to get my own clients. What separates you from other the coaches, or God forbid, if we're connected on LinkedIn, which is how we got here. If you go looking for anything on LinkedIn, or God forbid you openly ask, you are suddenly flooded with everybody and their mama's 28-step process to nonstop leads today and blah, 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 without any groundwork. So how are you separating yourself in that way?
Yeah, so basically, I've been doing this a long time. I've been doing it for 14 years. I've been a coach. And then, maybe 10 to 11 years, I don't know exactly for the business side of it. But also I have a big business background.
Mm-hmm.
And so I brought a lot of the social media, marketing, and a little bit of the social media, but a lot of marketing skills and a lot of business development skills, because that's what I did in my corporate life, to the table. And then, so just my experience, but also the way I run my programs is different. Like you go to a lot of the business coaches, right. They're typically more on the high ticket end, right? There's that high price to work with them. And I knew early on that that's not what I wanted to do. I mean, I do have a high end product, but that's the one-on-one, and that's when you're able to do it. But I wanted to reach people and help people to get them to the point where they could afford high end if they wanted to, right? So I had to really focus in on how do I make that happen, where I'm helping more people, the new coaches that typically, might not get a coach for 4, 5, 6 years because they can't afford it.
Right.
And not that my program's cheap, because it's not, but it is affordable and it's manageable for people. And it's specifically for that coach that might not have any clients. And so that's, I think, is different than. And
I'm sure there's some reward to the fact that you're getting to work with somebody who's new out of the gate. They're looking for your type of support, but most importantly, they don't have a ton of bad habits. They don't have the set in stone experience. And so, well, this is the way I've always done it. And
absolutely.
God, the people that.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's that. Yeah. There's that. Like, they don't have to unlearn things, right? It's just learning new.
Sure.
Of course, they have to be open to the learning. They have to be flexible in that way. But yeah, it's definitely easier when you don't have to, help somebody to unlearn something or.
So what is the right now? And I'm sure there's a wide variety of things you're doing. Like we had already mentioned, you got podcasts, you have a social media presence. What's the best 2 to 3 marketing initiatives that you do on a regular basis that you feel like has the biggest boost, not just separating you from everybody else, but continuing to bring in a funnel of clients?
Yeah, so for me, personally, I have a free training. I have a bunch of challenges that I've done over the years as well. So I can do free challenges. But basically, I have a free training where I show coaches how to package and price their services and then market those packages that they create. And we do this over 8 days. Well, it's a 5-day training, and then there's 3 bonus days usually. And so this does a couple things. First of all, it helps people where it's one of the biggest obstacles is how to price and package their services. They come out of school or they decide to just pop up a business and they're like, oh, what do I charge? What do I include? And so it's one of the bigger obstacles. And so I remove that obstacle right from the get-go by having this free training, and I run it every 6 to 8 weeks. So people come in, they learn how to package and price, and then just the start of a marketing, because I can't do too much in 8 days, but a start of a marketing plan so they can get out there and get known. And this relieves some anxiety, right? It's like, oh, now I know what to include in my packages. I know what to charge. I know what I have to test, because I talk about the testing piece. And then, how I'll tweak it once I get the results from the testing. And then they put they can put stuff out right away.
So you have a 5-day training. That training is not some evergreen webinar. Are you sitting with them? I say sitting, you're virtually with them.
No.
Is it like the group coaching? You get 8 folks. How does that work? Is it an hour a day? What?
Oh no.
Okay.
This is a big, this could be a big group. I've had,
wow,
like 35 people on there. I've had 55 people on there. It just depends on who registers. But they get on Zoom, and also I stream it live into Facebook group and onto my LinkedIn. But yeah, they get on. It's a training. It's an hour a day. They get a workbook. They come on. They can ask questions in the chat. I have team members that help out. They can ask questions in the Facebook group as well. They get a private Facebook group to join, and it's really focused. And
how are they finding out
there's
about
a lot of support in it?
The free 5-day course? Yeah,
for the free training. Yeah, well, I advertise it everywhere, and I also have joint venture partners who will let their audiences know, because it's beneficial for their audiences to have that training as well. So
sure.
I market everywhere. I talk about it on my podcast. I talk about it on other people's podcasts. And just have other people
that is a super
shout
cool
it out as well.
Idea and program. Most everybody else, and it would be probably most of the folks, watching this, you've got the PDF, the font, the lead magnet you download, then you go into the evergreen webinar, and it's 45 minutes with a 15-minute pitch at the end, and you're right there in front of them. You get them all into Zoom, meet with them every day. They get to know, like, trust you, see that you're see that you know what you're talking about, but most importantly, you're building confidence. I'm guessing that's the biggest thing, because without that, they don't feel comfortable taking the next step. Do you have a clue what your conversion rate is out of this? And I'm sure it's kind of all over the place, but different.
Yeah, it depends, but I mean, the average conversion rate is about 15 to 18%. Which is actually pretty high.
That is absolutely brilliant.
Program. Yeah,
right.
And I just want to be clear. I do pitch, but I don't pitch until the 5th day. It's about giving the value. It's about giving them what they need, the steps that they need, about giving them the opportunity to talk and ask questions and really get clarity on things. And then I show them how to take the next step.
Sure.
And it's just a couple minutes at the end of the training.
Gosh, the pitch has been made. You probably don't have to go into this hardcore sales pitch with a countdown timer and the pop-ups everywhere. You can just say, hey, and if you want to keep this rolling, this is exactly how to do it. So that is really cool. So you've got a lot going on. Little sidetrack here. What do you do to stay focused? Because I think that's one of the bigger issues I see out of a lot of coaches, period. They have squirrel brain, so to speak. What are you doing to keep up with all this?
Yeah, so that red shiny object syndrome, I've had that before, where it's just like, what do I do here? But first of all, having a coach, I always have a coach. Sometimes I have 2. So always having a coach that can help me with my business, can help me with my mindset. And I'm also make sure that I take care of myself. So I have time away, which helps me to clear my mind. So I do things like workations. Sure. I'll go to the beach, and I'll work from there. Or we'll go to the mountains, and we'll work from there. And then definitely spending time with my family and my new grandson this year. So that's been awesome. So really, it's about taking care of yourself, really looking at what do you need to feed your soul. I also read a ton of books, both business and pleasure, books. And I just try to, as much as possible, I try to keep that balance. Sometimes it's off balance, but then I make up for it. And so it's just really about keeping balance.
And I love the fact that you mentioned not only do you coach coaches, you have a coach. And I'm surprised at so many times business coaches that won't have a coach because they are a coach, which is completely illogical. I've been doing this forever. When I first started my side business that I grew into a full-time business of explainer videos, I kept trying to coach myself, which completely is just counters everything I said. And I realized very quickly that I was my worst client and I could not take my own advice. And I had to hire me a coach. And then as soon as I did, things started kind of getting lined up a little bit. So we're starting to get a little deep here. We're going to take a quick turn. You mentioned reading a bunch of books. Do you have either a favorite book or a book you've read recently that you felt like made a kind of an impact?
Wow, there's so many.
Oh, I see it.
There's a bookshelf in the back of me right now that's got a ton.
Wait till that grandbaby gets a hold of it.
I got a bookshelf in the living room. No, it's just, I like to read inspirational business books. So like, anything that focuses in on growing our mindset and growing our business. So it could be,
go grab one.
Gosh, my mind just.
I'm not going anywhere. I'll sit here and entertain everybody. Okay. Hey, by the way, folks, I'm a big. You do. I think you've got some journals back there.
Here, right? I do. I have, which I like the book.
I've heard of that.
Mindset by Cheryl. It's a really good book. I have, conviction marketing.
Yes.
But the mindset book is really cool. I like this a lot by Carol Dweck. This can help you in business like nothing else. The Unforgiving Race to Greatness. So it's Winning by Tim Grover. That's a really good one as well.
Ooh, I love that one.
The Four Agreements, some kind of classic ones, right? And then there's one on TED Talks. I mean, I can read anything. It really doesn't matter. I like Jen Cicero, or I don't know how to say her last name.
Right.
But she does the ones on money and mindset. That's really important. I
mean, you're doing better than me. I switched over last year to Audible because like you, I've got 3 kids. I may be a little behind you. Mine are 13, 11, and 9. And I spend most of my time being an unpaid Uber driver. So my time of reading in the morning, I had to switch it to like journaling and mindset. So, I don't, so one of the kids didn't come up missing one day and I ended up on 48 hours. So I had to dunk everything out of my head, junk drawer wise. And then I had to switch over to Audible, which is not as effective, I don't think, but it is a way I'm starting to consume more books.
Yeah, definitely. And I, Audible, I can do it on long trips, but otherwise Audible doesn't work for me.
Well, Coach Cheryl, I appreciate you coming on. Appreciate you spending the time with us. That was a ton of insight for anybody that is ever going to be coaching. I think the model that you're using, especially the group coaching, and then using the group coaching to get the group coaching is absolutely brilliant. If somebody wants to get in touch with you, how do they do it?
Yeah, so they can go to my website, successfulcoaches.com. They can find my Facebook group, which is masteryourcoachingbiz.com, or they can reach out to me on Instagram at Coach Cheryl Thacker, or you can email me at
Coach Cheryl,
at successfulcoaches.com.
Thank you very much, and have a lovely day and stay out of the heat. All right.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me on your show.